Let's add custom recipes and custom loot tables to Minecraft. Alright, we find ourselves back in IntelliJ once more, and in this tutorial we're going to be adding custom loot tables and custom recipes to Minecraft. This is actually more straightforward than you might think, and I will show you a great little thing that you can use in order to actually see all of the different vanilla loot tables, vanilla recipes, all of that jazz. You're going to be able to see and learn how to actually look at those in this video as well. So first things first, all of this is going to happen in a JSON file format, and it's all happening in the data folder. So for this, we need to create a new folder structure in the resources folder. Right-click, new directory called data. And then inside of there, we want to make a new folder, once again with the name of our mod ID, in our case, tutorial mod. Inside of there, we'll make two new directories. One of them is going to be the loot_tables. Very important that this is written correctly, loot_tables. And then inside of tutorial mod as well, recipes. Now we'll start with the recipes. We'll just create the first JSON file over here. So in the recipes folder, right-click new file called the circon_block.json. Now, interestingly enough, the name of this JSON file does not have to match the block or, the thing that you're creating. However, it is a good thing, a good convention to name this file the result that it's going to give you. So how is this recipe JSON file going to look like? Well, I'm just going to start actually typing this out, and then I will explain after we have this. So the type here is going to be Minecraft:crafting_shaped. And then the pattern, we need to supply a pattern over here, which is actually going to be a list of 3 strings. These 3 strings are actually going to be filled with hashtags over here, exactly like this. Then we have to define a key, and that key is going to be, of course, the hashtag. So we're basically keying the hashtag to a certain item, which is going to be tutorial mod:zircon. And then over here, we also have a result, which, could you guess, it is also going to be an item, and that is going to be tutorial mod:circon_block. There we have it. So now what the frick is going on here? Well, if you look at this pattern, it should remind you a little bit of something. What else in Minecraft is 3x3? Of course, a crafting table. So this simply represents a crafting table. You have 3 strings, all of length 3, and the characters that we put in here are keyed in here. So basically a hashtag has to be a zircon item. And this is how a shaped recipe looks like. Now, when it comes to all of the other recipes, what we're actually going to do is we're going to take a look at the vanilla recipes, and then I have some that I'm going to copy over. Now, all of the recipes that I'm using here, all of the JSON files, all available to you in the description below, GitHub repository and individual gist as well. But to look at the vanilla ones, we are going to go to the external libraries down here. We're going to open this, and we're going to go down all the way to this one right here, Net Minecraft Client Extra 119, or whatever your version might be. And then we're going to open it, and then we can open the data folder as well. Now you can see we also have access to the assets folder. So for example, all of the block states JSON files are available to you here as well. All of the model files for all of the blocks, all of the items. So if there is anything in vanilla that interests you in terms of the JSON files, all of this is available to you. You can simply look this up in the external libraries. Now, the data folder contains the Minecraft folder, which contains the recipes folder. So if, for example, you're like, well, how does stone cutting work, for example, right? You can just open this, double click on this, and then you can see, oh, it is Minecraft stone cutting. There's the count defined, an ingredient, and then the result. So that is how stone cutting works. So you immediately have an example of this. Campfire cooking, same thing. It is just campfire_cooking type. You have a time over here, an experience, and then you just say what is the ingredient and what is the result. And this works with every single recipe that Minecraft adds. It works with campfire recipes, it works with stone cutting recipes, it even works if we actually search for ore, for example. You can see with blasting recipes over here, Minecraft blasting, and then we also have Minecraft smelting over here as well, Minecraft smelting. So pretty much everything is available to you, and any type of recipe that you want to add, you can take a look at right here. Now, the recipes do have some limitations. For example, you can't really have items that contain NBT data, so things like specific potions don't really work, and also you can't really craft anything that has an enchantment, for example. Well, whatever the case may be, let's just copy over the 3 other recipes over here. So you can see we also have the zircon from block, which makes sense, right? This is just the other way around. This is a shapeless recipe, so it means that we have to, the ingredients that we define over here, we just have to put in the crafting grid any way which we like, and then we're going to get, in this case, 9 zircons out of it. Zircon from blasting raw Zircon shouldn't be anything crazy over here. It's just a blasting recipe, and the group just determines where this is grouped in the recipe book in Minecraft. That is pretty much all that we need for the recipes. Fairly straightforward. Now, when it comes to the loot tables, they are a little bit more complicated. Number one, because of their contents, and number two, because they actually require another additional thing as well. But we'll look at that as well. Right, so in our loot tables folder, we're going to right-click a new directory called blocks, because what we want to do is we want to create loot tables. So this is going to be basically a table that determines what is going to drop from blocks. And what I will do is I will actually copy those over because they are quite more complicated than just the recipes, for example. Now, the first one is actually not going to be that complicated, but we'll still take a look at this. So this is a block loot table that simply drops itself. There's nothing more to it. That is really it. And you can see the type here makes, perfect sense, of course. It's a block loot table. Now we're defining one pool here. We can also define multiple pools, but in this case, we're actually only defining one role and one entry. And this entry is then going to be dropped, basically. I'm going to link in the description below 2 great resources. That is going to be a wiki entry on how the loot tables are set up, and then also a loot table generator where you can much more easily create these loot tables as well. Now for these, once again, we can go to the external libraries all the way down to, where do we have it? We've already skipped it over here, extra 119, in the data folder Minecraft loot tables blocks, and we can take a look at all of those block loot tables as well. So for example, if you're like, yeah, but, ore, for example, it drops something completely different. For example, the copper ore, right? It drops the raw ore and stuff like that. Absolutely no worries. Double click here. Let's take a look at this. We can see here we're looking for a silk touch matching tool, and if that is the case, then we're dropping the copper ore block, and if that's not the case, then we're dropping raw copper between 2 and 5 of this. And of course, the loot tables can get way more complicated as well. So there are also loot tables for chests, for example, so you can see in different things. So Stronghold Corridor. Now I'm going to open this, and you're going to freak a little bit out because this is a very long loot table, as you can see. But overall, most of this is not that crazy. It just always looks like a lot. But if you understand the individual parts, the wiki and the generator will actually help you with that as well. Then you can also create your own custom loot tables. But usually what people want is they want loot tables that are very similar to the ones that already exist in vanilla. And then you can just look at the external libraries. It is one of the best resources that you have available. So I will also copy over the ore loot tables over here. So those are going to be available to you, of course. This is going to be the zircon ore. And you can see once again, I literally just replaced the ore over here. So it's going to drop zircon ore here. And here, I just replace it with raw zircon. Make sure to always replace the mod ID, of course, because our custom items are under our mod ID and not under Minecraft. Now, interestingly enough, your blocks will not yet drop anything if you actually mine them. That is because, number one, what we have done in the blocks over here, if we actually take a look at this, we have called the requires correct tool for drops method over here, which basically checks for a certain tag. Now, what are tags? Well, in the broadest possible terms, tags are collections of blocks, items, or whatever you can think of, entities, for example, as well, that have a certain shared purpose. And in our case, what we want is we want the mineable tags. Now, what I'll do is I'll create the folder structure that we need, then copy over the tags. And once again, those will be available to you for download. Description below, GitHub repository and individual gist as well. So in the data folder, you're going to right click new directory called Minecraft. And inside of there, we're going to make a new directory called tags. Once again, tags multiple. In this tags directory, we're going to right click new directory called blocks. And then inside of there, finally, we're going to make the last directory, which is going to be called mineable. Make sure that this is all written correctly and the folder structure is set up correctly as well. Now, this is incredibly important. I'm going to copy over the first 3 JSON files. This is going to be needs diamond tool, needs iron tool, and needs stone tool. So I'm going to copy those over, and those all go into the blocks folder, not the mineable folder. This is extremely important. Please make sure that this is done correctly. Now, these 3 JSON files determine whether or not a particular block is mineable with a stone tool, an iron tool, or a diamond tool. And yes, you will need to add every one of your blocks to one of those JSON files. Otherwise, they will also be able to be mined with wood tools. Now, the question is, what tool can we use, though? Well, for those, we have the 4 mineable tags over here. So once again, I will be copying those over, and you can see those are now in the mineable folder. Now I've just filled out our 3 custom blocks into the pickaxe JSON, and you can see this is pretty much how the JSON files, how the tag JSON files look like. They aren't crazy complicated over here. You just have a list of values, and here you just list out all of the different items blocks or whatever you basically wanted to list out in that particular tag. So now our zircon ore, our zircon block, and our deep state zircon ore block are going to be mineable with a pickaxe that is at least going to be iron. And those are all of the steps that we need. Let's go into the game and see if it works. Alright, we found ourselves in Minecraft again, and let's just see if I can get some zircon blocks from the zircon. And there you go, block of zircon. And does it work the other way around? It does work the other way around. You can also see we have it in our recipe book over here as well, so that also works. Let's see if we can also smelt some raw zircon, and indeed we can smelt some raw zircon. And let's just see if it's also going to turn up as the zircon that we're expecting. And of course, it does. Absolutely freaking awesome. And now those recipes are also added to the recipe book over here. You can see, there we go. So that is actually really cool. Another question is, can we mine those blocks? Well, first of all, very important, switch to survival mode. And then let's see the stone pickaxe. You can see it's taking an awfully long time, and it does not really seem to be working. So let's just see, there you go, nothing drops. However, as soon as we use the iron pickaxe, you can see, there you go, we got some drops. Same with the ore blocks over here. This one also works. And then any tier after that is also going to work. So of course, diamond is going to work, and then netherite will also work totally fine. So you can see everything working exactly how you would expect it to. Right, and that is how easy it can be to add some custom recipes and custom loot tables to Minecraft. Hope you found this useful and you learned something new, and I'll see you all in the next tutorial. So yeah.